As a top Khamenei aide drops a strategic bombshell, is Trump really ordering almost his entire JASSM-ER stealth missile stockpile into the Iran fight just to get to Mojtaba? If Washington is nearly draining its global reserves of long-range stealth missiles, does that signal a desperate bid to eliminate Mojtaba, no matter the long-term cost to US war planning? And as Iran suddenly puts Bab el-Mandeb in the same category as Hormuz, is Tehran now threatening an energy shock that hits both of the world's key choke points at once? All this comes as Trump's frustration over the Iran war spills into public view, raising the question of whether his next moves are strategic or just angry. When the US president shouts, "Open the strait or live in hell," is that a calculated ultimatum, or the clearest sign yet that this standoff is slipping out of control? Iran is now warning of a global economic shock, saying Bab el-Mandeb has effectively joined Hormuz in a new arc of threats that can choke world trade. On April 5, senior advisor Ali Akbar Veliati declared that the resistance front now views Bab el-Mandeb in the same strategic light as the Strait of Hormuz. The veteran advisor to Iran's supreme leader warned that with a single signal, Allied forces could disrupt the flow of global energy and trade. Veliati posted a direct warning to Washington, urging it not to repeat what he called foolish mistakes, and hinting that this time the price would be far higher. Ali Akbar Veliati said, and I quote, "Today, the unified command of the resistance front views Bab el-Mandeb as it does Hormuz. If the White House dares to repeat its foolish mistakes, it will soon realize that the flow of global energy and trade can be disrupted with a single move. America learned history from Iran, but has yet to understand the geography of power." Unquote. His remarks came just a day after Tehran hinted it might expand its de facto blockade beyond Hormuz, pushing the confrontation into the Red Sea gateway as well. Iran's parliament speaker has hinted that Tehran may widen its blockade threat all the way to Bab el-Mandeb, suggesting that any escalation could extend the conflict into yet another strategic waterway. A military source told JASSM News that if Iran is attacked, it could respond by opening a new front, implying that the battlefield might rapidly shift from land and air to the world's busiest sea lanes. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi forces have already targeted ships near the Bab el-Mandeb corridor, and their past attacks now serve as a warning sign of what a wider, coordinated campaign in these waters could look like. Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, said, and I quote, "What share of global oil, LNG, wheat, rice, and fertilizer shipments transits the Bab el-Mandeb Strait? Which countries and companies account for the highest transit volumes through the strait?" Meanwhile, a senior security official warned that Iran has the capability and resources to maintain its chokehold over the Strait of Hormuz for years, turning this crisis into a long-term strategic standoff rather than a short-lived flashpoint. The official told Press TV that Tehran's primary objective was to cut off seaborne logistics for US bases, aiming to starve their supply chains and make every shipment of fuel, weapons, and equipment far more difficult and dangerous. He added that most of the heavy equipment and vital supplies for US bases in the region have historically moved by sea, meaning that any prolonged disruption in these waters would immediately weaken their operational reach and response time. Iranian forces have effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz to US and allied vessels, creating a tense maritime standoff where warships, tankers, and cargo carriers now face unprecedented restrictions and the constant threat of confrontation. This closure has rattled global supply chains, sending shockwaves through energy markets and driving oil prices sharply higher across the globe, as traders and governments scramble to secure alternative routes and emergency reserves. Beyond crude oil, the shutdown of Hormuz has also disrupted flows of LNG, fertilizers, and other critical commodities, squeezing industries from power generation to agriculture and raising fears of knock-on shortages and higher production costs. At the same time, soaring logistics and maritime insurance costs are being passed down the chain, adding to price pressures in the US economy and fueling fresh concerns that this crisis at sea could drive inflation even higher. At the same time, reports say the US has nearly depleted its stock of JASSM-ER stealth cruise missiles in the ongoing Iran campaign. One report said that in late March, Washington quietly ordered these high-value missiles pulled from other theaters and rushed toward the Iran fight. The roughly $1.5 million weapons were reportedly taken even from Pacific stockpiles at the end of March, revealing how stretched US precision arsenals have become. After these transfers and launches, only about 425 JASSM-ERs are said to remain from a pre-war inventory of around 2,300, leaving far less on the shelf for other crises. With only hours left until his self-imposed April 6 deadline, Trump escalated his threats, openly pointing to Iran's power plants and bridges as future targets. On April 5th, he warned that if Iran did not reopen Hormuz, it would face major strikes against critical infrastructure like nothing seen before. The profanity-laced language in his latest post suggests not just resolve, but deep frustration that Iran has not yet bowed to weeks of US and Israeli pressure. Trump said, and I quote, "Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one, in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the beep straight, you crazy beep, or you'll be living in hell, just watch." Unquote. Trump's latest threat landed just as Iran unleashed more missiles and drones on infrastructure sites across the Gulf. Kuwait's Electricity and Water Ministry reported that 2 key power and desalination plants were struck in the latest wave. Kuwaiti officials spoke of significant material damage, including the loss of at least 2 generation units knocked offline. Bahrain, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia also faced fresh hits on energy facilities and other infrastructure, underscoring how wide Iran's retaliation map has become. The IRGC said its latest strikes on petrochemical plants in Bahrain and Kuwait were tit-for-tat blows, matching earlier US-Israeli attacks. Commanders framed the barrage as direct retaliation for the bombing of Karaj's B-1 bridge and for previous raids on Iranian petrochemical sites. They warned that if civilian infrastructure is hit again, Iran's next responses will be more forceful and extensive, raising the specter of an even broader infrastructure war across the Gulf.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.